So it's the last week of the semester, which also means finals week. Yay, so exciting, right? We all have to like put down what we learned, the exams, and the stress that comes with it, the uncertainty of, oh, did I study enough or did I get everything into the exam? And we're often tested of what we could learn in that, what we have learned in that limited time. And today I'm here to point out the unnecessary of taking finals, like exams, and the terrible mental strain it has. And I'm gonna give an alternative solution how to show how students are actually like what they have learned in that class. Quote by Edward de Bono, many highly intelligent people are poor thinkers. Many people of average intelligence are skilled thinkers. The power of a car is separated from the way the car is driven. So many of teachers believe that by giving a final exam is a way they could find out how intelligent that person is, of how what they learned. And chief political correspondent and educational editor Will Woodward says that it gives a misleading impression only of a tiny proportion of knowledge learned, and that we are just that we're just given limited time to show what we have learned in that class. And I feel like the exam that is given is not. For example, in my high school year, and when I took AP Lang, I remember our teacher was giving us last minute pointers of how to take the exam. And I remember how stressed she was, saying it was unfair how the Board of Education wanted us to write like 4 analytical essays in a limited amount of time, because that wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to show the potential we have and like the real effort we have put into the school year. And she was right, it wasn't really enough time. I remember when I was sitting down writing those essays, that we had that big clock in front telling us a countdown of what we had left, and it was stressful, and it just took away of me thinking of what to write and what to say. And I spent too much time looking at the clock that I was able to fully put my focus on the paper and write what to say. And also, Peter Tate, a school governor and independent educational advisor, says that it gives little, it doesn't allow original thought or anything, and that we're allowed to show what we actually learned. And another thing about is the psychological strain it is taking exams. Neil Whiteman, Reynoldsburg Board of Education, says that excessive stress is harmful to students' performance. We're unable, like I said, we're unable to focus because of the time limit and the amount of the questions they're asking. And Sadie Blood, PR major of BYU, said that survey of 64% of students worry that their exam stress is negatively affecting their grades and academic stress. So a way to prevent that, I think of an idea to do that is to actually do like projects. I know it's not an idea that everyone likes, but I think it is actually will show the students like actual potential and show what they actually learn. Tony Sider, an associate professor, actually has experimented this idea with his students. He gave 3 different ways: the lone question finale, and the experience finale, and the celebratory finale. So the lone question was, he gave 1 question to the students, and they all each have to find their own way of answering the question. It didn't have to be an essay. They were able to do it in any way they could do it, like mixed media. They were able to use mixed media, use it in a blog, in a speech, or even some of the theater kids were able to act it out, whatever the subject was. So in my conclusion, I believe that teachers shouldn't be pressuring us into taking exams, and that we should be more liberated to actually show how we actually learned in the class.
This is my mom. To be honest, I got scared.
All right, Dylan, share your thoughts, please.
I thought her attention device was great. Like her exaggeration and her sarcasm was really funny. The way she previewed her topic about changing finals and how it's stressful was really good, and I liked how she nicely integrated her sources and they were sufficient and credible. I liked how her personal story was a nice example, and it showed how stressful finals can be, and her alternatives for finals, like using projects and something like that. I thought that was a good idea, and it could easily be integrated as well. On a downside, I thought she should rely a little less on her note cards. She didn't rely too much on it, but I could tell that she was going over it for the most part. And then she had great vocal projection, but she needs a little bit more vocal range and variety. And her conclusion, I feel like it needed to be a little bit more developed. But other than that, I felt like it was a great speech.
So other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, what did you think of the play? Yeah, I get you. Okay. Yeah, I tell you, you get a lot of mileage out of the opening of the presentation because you start by talking to us, you are engaged, you are energetic, you seem like you feel like you know where you're going, and even though you get a little stuck when you're transitioning to the topic itself and setting things up, we're already willing to take the ride with you because you are talking to us more, and I think that would be something that people can distinctively see between that presentation and some of the others that we've had today, where people have good ideas, but they aren't, stepping up and talking to the audience as much. I think your idea is a little, it's clearly identifiable, and I understand that. That's good. I didn't really see much of a preview of the supporting structure of the speech, and in the body of the speech, I didn't see much of an organizational pattern either. I did hear some good source citations on general criticisms of test taking, some slight information about anxiety kinds of issues without much demonstration that those anxiety issues have an impact on the results. One of the things that I think is a little unclear is whether or not these tests that you are talking about are the substance of a person's grade, or whether they are part of the grade, or whether or not it's just people who have difficulty taking any kind of test. So, sometimes I know there are classes out there. Does anybody have one of those classes where your grade is based basically on, a midterm, a final, and a paper, and that's it? Yeah. That puts high stakes on a lot of those tests. So you've got one test or two tests that are going to be the difference. I can see where the stress comes out. It's always hard for me to perceive that perspective because we've got so many different things that we're doing in here. So I don't always see the stress thing that you're talking about. And my memory of that was stress. What's the old saying? No pain, no gain. It's like you're in the gym. If you're not working at it, you're not getting anything out of it. But you need to tell me why it's the unproductive kind of stress instead of the productive kind of stress. I think you need to build that argument a little bit more. Like I said, some of the quotes that you have are a little abstract in their criticism of the test process. And so it just feels like it could be developed a lot more for your argument. The presentation issues, I already mentioned at the beginning that I thought you did a good job with your voice and your audience contact, and you were pretty consistent about that. There are a couple of times when you go to the notes, and I think Dylan was pointing that out. And the problem is when you go to the notes, it's really obvious because basically they come right up in front of your face. And I appreciate that you're looking up still, but it seems a little awkward that, let me stick this between you and me. So I'm looking at this, and that becomes, I think, a little bit problematic. Okay, well, let's stop there.